You want me to put that on my tudger?
Infected and ignored. I detailed in a video yesterday how very far Harry has fallen, to demonstrate the way that this once happy chappy finds himself in a particularly difficult place. And it's all because of one thing, or one person, or perhaps you might think thing is more appropriate, his wife. Sure, he had problems before she came along, notably the impact of the death of his mother. But he had his family around him. He had friends. He had money. He was well liked by most people. He had status. He could do his charity work. Other than the wound that had been caused by the loss of his mother at a young age in tragic circumstances, the rest of his life was pretty decent. He could go where he wanted. He could get out to Bonkers Night Spot and have a bab from Abracababra later on. He could chase some skirt. He didn't have the demands that William had because he was the spare. Sure, he moaned about it later, but that was only because he was encouraged to do so by his handler. And then, of course, he was conned into believing that he'd met his soulmate, that he'd met the one person that truly understood him, that was going to bring sunshine and light and unicorns and rainbows into his life. Because along came the spider. Along came the narcissist. And the story is, as it always is, of thereafter sustained devaluation. But what the narcissist also does, when the narcissist starts to be exposed, is they can taint those around them. Not all narcissists are exposed. Some are only minimally so. Harry's wife has been exposed considerably because so many people do not believe her lies and are able, such as I, to point out all of the manipulative behaviours that she engages in, the inconsistencies, the revisions of history, and the downright porky pies that she engages in. Thus, her popularity has tanked. But Harry, strapped to her, perhaps still, in a way, there with tendrils wrapped around him, has found that not only has he lost so much as a consequence of the way that she has treated him, and the way that she has removed him from friends and family, and the fact that she has caused him to engage on this joint campaign of smearing of the royal family, of playing the victim, of complaining and whining and whinging, so that his popularity has tanked as well. It's clear that he has become very much infected. He's been infected by her mindset. He's been infected by her views. And that infection has caused him to become tainted. That he is seen as unfriendly, scowling, persona non grata. And this has manifested in a report by Nika Shakanazarova from the New York Post, who reports, Prince Harry's royal status has gone, as he is ignored at polo match. Once upon a time, Harry would have been met and greeted with deference and respect as a consequence of his royal status. People would also be pleased to see him because they found him engaging and fun. But that appears now to have changed. Prince Harry's royal status has effectively vanished after he was reportedly ignored at a fundraising polo match last week, a royal expert has claimed. The Duke of Sussex, 38, visited Japan and Singapore to raise funds for his charity, leaving his wife, Harry's wife, in California with their two kids, Prince Archie 4 and Princess Lilibet 2. The Duke rolled up his sleeves to take part in the Centre Barley ISPS Handa Polo Cup, an event that helps Centre Barley, a charity founded by Harry. But he reportedly was ignored by attendees at the event. Harry probably doesn't have any body language for moments like this, when he is left alone, unhosted, and virtually ignored by the others at the event, royal expert and body language guru Judy James told the Express. After the game, the exiled royal was seen walking alone, with James adding that the Duke appeared awkward. As a royal, he would have been guaranteed to be the centre of attention in a group setting, and used to getting admiring smiles of polite flattery when he was out at events. But that clearly isn't a given now his royal status has gone, James added. I would add to that it's not just as a consequence of the loss of his royal status, but rather that his status as an individual has plummeted because of the way that he has behaved, influenced, of course, by the connection with his wife. The royal expert said Harry appeared awkward because he didn't have the adoring gaze from his wife to bathe in. Well, that's not always the case, is it? Elsewhere, during his short trip to Tokyo, Harry was pictured with polo champ and longtime pal Ignacio Nacho Figueras, whom he's known since 2007, then just repeats about things that they had done together and the kind words that Harry had for his hosts. But the fact is that he's ignored by people, whereas once they would be clamouring to see him. Is this going to cause him to wake up to what has happened? Or will he still see it as a consequence of people being unpleasant because he spoke in his mind? If he were to say to Harry's wife, when I was in Singapore, people didn't really talk to me that much, and afterwards they kind of just left me alone. It was a bit strange. I wonder why that was. She would either not say anything and just brush it away because she isn't concerned, or an expression of false cognitive empathy would suggest to him that it is as a consequence of envy that people can't handle the truth being spoken, reinforcing in his mind once again that they were right to behave as they did. Notice that she's always incapable of accepting that her behaviour and his has brought condemnation and rightly to their doorstep. Harry is once again finding out the hard way about what the repercussions are for his behaviour as a consequence of the influence and conduct of his own wife. And yet, it still doesn't appear to have caused him to wake up to what is going on. Let's have a quick look below the line to see what people think about this suggestion that he's being ignored. Undefined writes, Harry would not have been so awkward if one of the other polo players held his elbow, restrained him by his arm like Harry's wife, and squeezed it when he needed to stop talking. Not having a sudden death playoff or shootout to break the tie must have been disappointing, with both Harry and Figueras' teams receiving the trophy. It probably didn't endear them to fans who travelled far and paid money for the charitable match, thinking the tie was face-saving for both men and manipulative. Harry's wife's absence was probably suggested that she stay at home so as not to have another embarrassing incident and her hogging the limelight from the charity and grabbing the trophy. See parts pass him, and of course I have ridiculed her behaviour where she tried to get a photograph of herself taken with the trophy. HL. Ignored is an understatement. He was wandering around aimlessly at the event as nobody had any interest in him, and he acted like a baby, taking the trophy instead of Nacho when Harry's team lost, and kept holding on to the trophy for dear life until he got his money shot doing charity work. A woman was photographed gesturing to Harry about his nostrils, too, for obvious reasons. The only people who don't realise Harry's royal status is long gone are Harry and his wife. Just a thought. Harry threw away the goodwill from people worldwide by the way he treated his grandparents, the Oprah rants, toxic book and Netflix tirades. He had built-in sympathy having lost his mother. Everyone was glad to see him smile. All that is gone and replaced with disgust with him and fake Harry's wife. Hey Norm 48, this is a great example of be careful of what you wish for. We want our privacy. What the heck? Oh well, you and your wife wanted all of this privacy and just to lead a normal life. Well, that's what you're going to get. Stop writing books, stop putting yourself in the media, stop playing the victim, stop putting yourself out there if you just want a normal life. I am so completely done reading stories about you too. Brandon Falls Cycle Club. The reporter claims Harry is an exiled royal. He isn't. He's self-exiled. There's a big difference. Harry said he loves every single element of the unique and very special Japanese culture. Apparently, he has never watched the bridge over the River Kwai. Little sympathy. People suggesting this is what he wanted and now this is what he's getting. And isn't it the case that he wanted privacy and to be left alone? So now he's getting it. But of course, the reason he's getting it isn't because people are respecting the false plea for privacy. He's receiving it because he's become infected as a consequence of his involvement with Harry's wife. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.